This is the PVC pipe progression. Now, if you do no other swing prep on this site, do this swing progression for sure. This is going to clean up a lot of the movements that we see in our hitters that show up as flaws later on. So we're going to start with the PVC pipe in the ground, okay? So what we're going to do is we're keeping the pipe in the ground. It's going to be about 3 inches outside of my toes, and it's going to be just on the back side of my back foot, okay? That's where we want to hold the pipe. Now, you're going to start with your hands about shoulder height. You don't want them any higher, and you don't want them any lower, about shoulder height. Now, the first step of this progression is you're going to stride away from the stick, but you are still going to maintain the vertical position of the stick. So you don't want to stride away from the stick and bring it with you. You don't want to push it back. You want to basically pretend like this is a flagpole stuck way down in the ground and you can't move it. You're just holding on. So you're going to hold on and you're going to stride away from it and you're going to spread the ground with your heels. Now, a lot of times I see hitters do this drill and they'll stride and they'll keep their weight on the stick. That's not what you want to do. You want to stride away from the stick. As you can see, my hands are getting a little bit outside of my shoulders, which is totally fine, and spread the ground with your heels. That's number one. Spreading the ground with your heels is going to make you connected to the ground, and it's going to turn your glutes on, which is exactly where we want to swing from. Once we get through step 1 5 or 6 times, now you're going to go to step 2, which is to step, spread the ground with my heels, and now I'm going to take this back hip, and I am going to turn it away from the stick. Now notice my back hip is not going backwards to turn. I'm maintaining pressure on the pole that is in the ground, and I'm pulling this back hip through forward to initiate the turn of my hips. This is going to help my hips turn without my shoulders, which, as you know, as a hitter, is going to help us not lead with our shoulders, but rather lead with our hips so that we can maintain posture and distance through the zone, okay? So, step 1, spread the ground. Next one, turn your hip. Step, spread the ground. Next one, turn your hip. That's step 2. Now step 3 is going to be both of those motions at once. So it's going to be step, turn and spread. Step, turn and spread. Okay, notice we're triggering the back hip. This is kind of what a take would look like, okay? If we're being aggressive as hitters and a pitch comes in and we take it, that's the position we want to be in as we take it. We're aggressively taking pitches. Now, step 4 is going to be to actually apply pressure to the stick as we start the slotting action with our rear elbow. So we're going to step and we're going to turn our hip fast, and we're actually going to apply pressure to try to bend the stick outwards. Okay, I'll do this from both views here. So step, bend the stick. Step, bend the stick. From the side view, right here, step, bend the stick. Step, bend the stick. Again, we're not leaning on the stick. We're moving away from the stick, and our hip going forward while our elbow slots is what is actually bending the stick. Now, younger players are going to have a little bit more of a difficult time bending the stick. Older players are going to bend this thing as if it was made out of rubber. But the idea is to try to bend the stick and making sure that we're bending it away from us, not into us this way, okay? The next step of our progression is going to be to start over, but now we're going to remove the stability from the ground. So we're going to take the stick out of the ground, and we're going to hold it about a foot from the bottom. We're going to split our hands, and we're going to repeat the process. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to stand in whatever stance you feel comfortable with, okay? You're going to step, spread the ground with your heels. Step, spread the ground with your heels. Next one, step, spread the ground with your heels, turn the hip. Notice the stick hasn't moved. So now I don't have the ground helping me keep the stick in position. I have to actively keep my hands back and keep the stick from moving. This way, right? After that, the next step is to stride, fire your hip, and now you're actually going to see the stick start to move a little bit. So this would be kind of like bending the stick in the part of the progression before. So we're here, we're stride, we're going to trigger our hip, and notice my elbow is going to start slotting naturally, okay? Now, once we get through those, now the fun begins. Now we're going to start to move fast. The key word here is fast. So the first thing we're going to do is what we call a 90-degree turn. So your bat is going to go from behind you, and it's going to turn 90 degrees. Now, I am not going to do that with my hands. This is not a hand pivot. This is not a forearm pivot. This is a whole body exercise. As I turn aggressively, my barrel is going to start to turn, and I'm going to slam on the brakes. Now, as hard as we accelerate in the next 3, that's how hard I want us to decelerate. Okay, so I want you to picture yourself in a Ferrari, driving as fast as you can, and then running into a wall, okay? Maximum velocity, maximum braking, okay? That's what I want you to think about. I don't want this to be a Honda Civic coasting to a stoplight at a yellow light, okay? I want this to be fast up and fast down, okay? So again, we're split grip, we're holding it away. These are 90-degree turns. So we're gonna stride, and we're gonna be nice and aggressive to 90 degrees, okay? Notice, I'm not losing the barrel, I'm not pivoting, my body is turning, and that is what is turning the stick. The stick and my shoulders move as one unit, okay? Now we're gonna go to 180-degree turn, so the bat's gonna go from behind us to contact, okay? Now when we do this, there should be an audible whoosh. That's how hard and how fast I want you to be moving. So again, we're here, we're gonna stride, we're going to slam on the brakes, and you can see how fast my body gets to top speed and how fast it decelerates into a full stop position. Now you might see that you're losing your balance through these drills. If that's the case, then you just need to do more of them. A lot of times, especially with young hitters, I notice that they don't brake very well. They don't have very good control over their body. And so that's a lot of times why we lose posture throughout our swing. So if we just do these drills over and over again, it's gonna help us maintain our posture. And then the last spot is to take a full swing, full speed, and then pause at the end and hold it for 2 seconds. Again, max velocity, max braking. So we're here. Okay? And you can do these on high pitches, on middle pitches, on low pitches, whatever it is that you struggle with, but that's the PVC pipe progression.